Hello everyone, welcome back to more AEW and TEW 2020. We are here the 4th week of March, the final Dark and Dynamite before we start adding in Rampage. Now, just as a quick note, Rampage will actually start off for I think it's the first 3 weeks will be lesser events. After that, it will be a proper TV show. So that will skew some numbers a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. We start off our show of Dark with Lucas Fenrir of the Nightmare family defeating Ross Von Erich with the Capture Wonder Killer, which is a badass name, I gotta say. Then Brand Eagle-Eye defeats Kid Bandit. Now, on the note of Kid Bandit, I have actually started DPW. I'm recording this. I think it's the same date that episode 4 comes out. So you already know what have happened over the weekend, I think. But I'm using DPW as a developmental. Dark Order's in there. I put a lot of regens in there. Bear Country's in there. There's a lot of people that are in DPW right now. So I'll be grabbing people to and from. I will be booking DPW just on my own time. It won't be recorded. Just using it as extra. I'm using that instead of Elevation. So I want to have that third show slot for Rampage instead of Elevation. So Elevation's been canceled. I'm going to have DPW. So, yeah. That's where a lot of people will be going for a while. Then we have Jimmy Shane defeating the Atomic Wrangler. Oh yeah, by the way, the Brand Eagle-Eye, Folk Hero, Atomic Wrangler, the Space Cowboy. Then after this, after the match with Atomic Wrangler, Enzo, of all people, comes out. He does his shtick for a little bit before he begins talking to Jimmy Shane. He says that Jimmy calls himself shameless, and there ain't anyone in the world that knows what it's like to be shameless more than Enzo. He says that staying with the bozos in the Nightmare family is a good way to lose your career, and Enzo is all about the headlines, and Jimmy would work best in the bright lights with him, and Jimmy does not respond. I love Enzo. I am a huge fan of him on the mic, but obviously he does have his own issues. Not going to deny that. So Enzo, I don't have an all-elite graphic for him because he's just, I've had a few handshake heals, but Enzo's very short leash. If he starts causing any problems, I'm releasing him right away. But I just love Enzo so much on the mic. He is fantastic. I'm going to enjoy writing promos for him until he inevitably does something stupid. But Jimmy Shane, the first person that Enzo approaches. Shotzi Blackheart then defeats Jessamine Duke. Lady defeats Mary Dobson. I have something to do her first turn. Then the Jurassic Express defeats the Motor City Machine Guns. Alex Shelley with a 74. Actually very evenly rated teams, I gotta say. Then after that match finishes, Matt Hardy comes up from the backstage area. He is flanked by Top Flight. All three of them are in nice-looking suits, and they let themselves into the ring before Matt speaks. He says, there's something that we really have to remember, all 7 of us in this ring. We are some of the best tag teams in the world, some of the better tag teams in the world. The Motor City Machine Guns have the tenure and the experience of indie legends. Top Flight are one of the futures of this division, and Jurassic Express is the perfect combination of the two. But why are all of us on Dark? Now, I'm not part of the matchmaking committee, but I do have friends in high places. So maybe I can pull some strings and get something working. Who knows? But all of us deserve a place higher than Dark. So yeah, Matt Hardy, seeing if we can get these guys on Dynamite, hopefully having people on, once I have Rampage up, that'll also help. That'll get, because it's more A-show TV time, another proper show, so that'll help. Because my roster is very, very much too big. VIP's Club defeat Bianca Corelli and Lavender Sky. Hamster Katana defeats Kylie Ray. Then a video plays of a meeting between Antonio Banks and Britt Baker. Banks says that Baker has a ton of potential to be near the top of the division, but the problem is that Britt isn't getting enough showtime on TV. And Banks can fix that. He offers Britt an opportunity to be in a bankroll-sponsored commercial, and Britt accepts that, wanting to promote not only her dentist job, but her wrestling abilities. This one, as well as the ends of segment, were supposed to be parts of storyline, but I guess I just screwed it up. So, we'll just have to remember that. Kota Ibushi defeats Orange Cassidy. If Kota was supposed to be out for storyline reasons, I forgot, so whoops. And then, main event, Samoa Joe defeats Will Hobbs. Both of them have stale gimmicks, okay. Following the match, Samoa Joe quickly pops up and starts calling Steiner in, saying that Steiner's nothing compared to him. But the Steiner that enters the ring is not Scott Steiner, but Bronson, who's defiantly getting face-to-face with Samoa Joe unintimidated. And Joe respects the courage of Bronson, and he doesn't do anything to attack him as he leaves, and that ends the show of Dark. Pretty good Dark. Those two very nice in there. Very nice rating as well. But that will be the last Dark before we start getting some Rampages underway. And let's move on to the last Dynamite before the era of Rampage. Our show of Dynamite begins with Kip Sabian getting a win over Dalton Castle with a fast roll-up after Garza attacked Dalton Castle while the ref was distracted. So Garza ran out near ringside during the end of the match, which allowed Kip Sabian to get a roll-up pinfall to win. Kip, who was wearing some hand coverings due to the broken fingers, which he did perfectly recover from last week, he has his hand raised in victory by Penelope Ford, who has a mic in her hand. And she says, "This is a momentous week for all of the Rose Garden. Not only are we going to see just how great and handsome and sexy the men of the Rose Garden are in the first ever show of Rampage, making history as the Rose Garden deserves, but there's another announcement that we are glad to make, that me and Kip are officially engaged." So yes, this actually happened, I think, the day before this in-game. Of course, since I started in August 2020, this was before they had gotten married, so they only just now announced their engagement. So, that's just an interesting thing to note. After this, the Wu-Ten Clan are seen in a vignette, talking about how they are some of the most deserving champions because they are bona fide legends of the business. But they know that just deserving the belts doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to win them, and that they still need to earn them, which is just what they're going to do. They know that they're better than the Briscoes, and they will prove it on Saturday at the first Rampage. I don't know if I've mentioned this yet. Rampage, rather than being on Friday as it is in real life, it will be on Saturdays. Apologies about that. Just had a little bit of a misclick. Also because my new cat is chilling out here. Messing around. So yeah. Cardona, Spears versus the Briscoes at the first ever show of Rampage. Ramy Sabay then defeats Trent. MJF was on commentary. Screen then plays a vignette that shows the VIP's Club building, with Deonna and Tenille standing outside while MJF was at the arena doing commentary for the previous match. Soon approached by Hams and Morgan, with Hams asking if they have good food in the building. Tenille says, "Well, yeah, we do have good food in the building, but you're not going to be able to get that." Hams just keeps annoying them until eventually both, mainly Tenille gets just really annoyed and calls for the North to escort DKE out of the premises, which they do. And after they're escorted out, Deonna just asks, who the hell were these people? And Tenille generally has no idea who the hell they are. They're just these two random women who showed up, asked if they had good food, and then didn't stop annoying them. Cody Rhodes then defeats Calvin Tankman. Tankman, part of the DPW roster. Following the entirety of the Cult of Cole gathers around ringside. Adam Cole steps in. He stares down Cody for a moment. He gets face to face before he starts speaking. He has a mic in his hand. He says, "You want to play innocent? You want to try to do things from under my nose? Well, that's not going to happen, Rhodes. Vikingo is going to join my flock." Or at the very least, he's not going to join your shitty faction of trainees. So you can bring it on, Cody. Me and my army are ready to fight you anytime, anywhere, any day. Very simple promo. I'm still getting back into the swing of booking because aside from last episode, hadn't booked in about 2 months. So yeah. Then we get a sit-down interview between Renee and Nyla Rose, where Renee asks about Nyla's match on Rampage versus Mayu Iwatani. Nyla says, "I've been a champion before, Renee. I've beaten the crap out of small Japanese girls before. Like it or not, on Saturday, that little dream that Miss Iwatani has is going to crumble and burn. I am going to be the champion once again because no one can outmatch me. Mayu can run around the ring all she wants, but she sure as hell can't hide." And there's probably going to be some comments in there about how Nyla is, Mayu's too honorable to take a count-out win, which would be the safest option. I had the thought for a moment, and then I kind of just spaced out on what I was thinking before, but yeah, so now I'll probably make some comments on how Mayu's too honorable, and that's going to be your downfall, or something like that. Dustin Rhodes then defeats Nick Jackson, continuing his open challenge. Then the Private Party are seen in the nightclub, cleaning up after the mess from last week. Of course, the Lucha Bros came in last week. They destroyed their nightclub, and the Godfather goes up to the two of them, asks if they're just going to take that line down, and the Private Party realize that no, they will not take that line down, and they leave, ready to kick some Lucha Bro ass. So, it's still experimenting with storylines that aren't just, hey, I want to fight you. Something more mundane, like, hey, these guys were annoying, so we destroyed their nightclub, but they don't want their nightclub to be destroyed. Then we see Paul Heyman in his office looking a bit frustrated. "Chris, you're not understanding me. There's definitely a place for veterans in this company, don't get me wrong. We have people like Brock, or Devitt, or Sabay that are fantastic in their jobs. But I'm still wanting to push a youth movement in AEW. Because we need to not just be prepared for the now, but we need to build for the future. Sammy and Ace of your inner circle are a wonderful piece of that, but you, Chris, well, you would be preferred in more of a mentorship role to these people who are more suited to being in the headlines, the top of the card in 2025 or 2030. You need to be ready to move to these stars of the next generations instead of sticking back to the era of the past." So Heyman, he still wants to get Jericho booked a little bit less, which is something I also want to do because he is 50. But he can still put on a good match. Still useful. After this, Adam Page is in a bar by himself. He has a glass of whiskey next to him, though it does not look like it has been drunk at all. This Fergal Devitt, I've admired you, I suppose is the best word for it, for a long time. You're one of the best in the business, and it's honestly a bit of an honor that my first title defense is against someone like you. You're a great wrestler, and I'm not looking forward to facing you or anyone on your level, but you need to know something. I don't just have my own pride on the line. I have tons of people that I'm supporting that are supporting me. Kenny, Coda, Matt, Nick, Cody. Hell, every single fan out there wants to see me succeed, and I'm not going to let them down, but I'm hoping that you can provide a good match for me, Fergal. I know you're capable of providing good matches. Just don't let me down. I had done a little bit of an experiment to see how much MJF will be wanting for money, because his contract is running out in a few months. Hangman is possible. It is possible for Hangman to get a 100 rating, but I don't know exactly how the game did it, because I just did an autobook. Main event, Darby Allin defeats Jeff Cobb. Really, Darby's not that great, honestly. After the match, CM Punk approaches the ring, and he offers a handshake to Darby. Darby declines the handshake and leaves. Punk stands in the ring, slightly surprised by the sudden turn of events, but he accepts it anyways, as the show goes off the air. 78 rating, not as great as last week's show. Again, still getting used to booking again. Long time since I have. Don't quite remember all my stories because I don't plan them out, gonna be honest. But moving on to next episode, which will be the first ever Rampage. So we'll see how that goes at that point.